I went to a restaurant in Alameda City last night to support an attorney named Jimmie Wilson. He is running for the election of the next Alameda County District Attorney. I have made a video clip about him before. Today, I would like to introduce this candidate more in depth. Before I introduce him, I would like to talk about the history of the Bay Area, as I haven't talked about American history for a while. Let's start with the American Civil War. The Civil War occurred in the era of 1860s. At that time, the North and the South had a momentous divide. Because of the controversy of slavery, there was an ongoing antagonism between both sides. California was annexed into the United States not too long ago. Compared to other states, California was relatively young. Politically, Californians had adopted a liberal approach. Most of the Californians supported the North, that is, anti-slavery. As we all know, President Lincoln led the North and won the Civil War. As we get to the Second World War, the West Coast needed a huge army and needed to build a great economy to support this war. We were facing military aggression from Imperial Japan and Germany. An estimated 5 million African Americans moved from the South to the West Coast to join the U.S. Army or join the Industrial Task Force to support this war. Although slavery was banned by now, racism was still present in the United States. There was segregation of the races. Facilities like the bathrooms and cafeterias were separated, and African Americans were not allowed access to the facilities used by whites. Here in Oakland, a major shipbuilding industry had developed. High demand for the armed forces in turn resulted in high demand for the Navy. Hence the establishment of a big company that specialized in shipbuilding in West Oakland. At the same time, another major industry developing in Oakland was the canned food business. Since the Army needed canned food during the war, there were many canneries in Oakland at that time. When the Second World War ended, all of a sudden Oakland became an abandoned city as the need for shipbuilding and canned food drastically diminished. Instantly, many African Americans became jobless. Oakland turned into stretches of ghettos, which were neighborhoods populated by the poor, such as in East Oakland and West Oakland. The post-war ghetto situation gradually evolved into a social problem since whites would not move into areas primarily occupied by blacks, and blacks had challenges leaving the ghettos as they were prohibited from moving into the white neighborhoods. Think about it as Chinatown that was heavily settled with Chinese, who hardly moved out to elsewhere, nor were they permitted by the law at the time to do so. The circumstance gave rise to blocks of ghettos saturated with serious crimes and drug problems. Young men who dropped out of school would form gangs to fight and kill each other. Fast forward to the present. According to data provided by Jimmie Wilson on his Facebook page, there were 540 people murdered in Oakland in the past 10 years, and all these cases still remain open and unsolved. Just think about on average of 50 people being murdered each year, and all assailants are still at large. These figures are alarming in Oakland. The fundamental crime problem should be viewed beyond Chinatown. We shouldn't just put our attention on Chinatown. The real problem is rooted in the ghetto, where the young people are fighting and killing each other. The government is largely ignoring them. Many politicians are opening one eye while closing the other. This election is a special one. Not only one but multiple candidates are African Americans. They are running for the office of the Alameda County District Attorney. The responsibility of the district attorney is to prosecute, bring criminals to trial, convict them, and send them off to jail. The district attorney plays a very important role in our criminal justice system. In this video, I am not going to discuss the San Francisco recall of Chisa Boudin. Maybe later I will make another video to talk about problems in San Francisco. Let's talk about Oakland first, because I feel that there are more serious problems in Oakland. There is a lack of good leaders in the African American community, and the same problem exists in the Chinese community as well. These problems are cultural in nature, involving factors like family structure and education. Most of these problems are distinct problems according to their own communities. I think that it is important to have people from their own community to take up such a position to handle their own problems. Even though many others are pessimistic, I have high hopes of seeing leaders from the African American community stand up and to solve serious social problems for their own communities. I think this election will have a direct effect on the public safety in areas like Oakland, Alameda, Fremont, Hayward, Castro Valley, San Leandro, and Piedmont. With a large Chinese population in these areas, this election will greatly affect the public safety in these areas in the next 4 years.